Fathers have big hands. Fathers have big hands to catch you as you come into this world and to hold you safely and lovingly as you look around to see where you've landed. This book was inspired a couple of years before our children were born, when we were thinking about whether we were ready to be parents and what the pluses and minuses were of being parents. And this was going through my mind when I was traveling to visit my grandfather at one point. I was walking through the concourse of the airport and saw one of those god-awfully long check-in lines. And in the middle of the check-in line stood a most unlikely looking father person, or at least so I thought at the time. He looked like he was a refugee from a biker gang. His father loves his little boy so much, and he's catching him in his big, big hands. His little boy loving his father so much. The relationship is absolutely wonderful. Couldn't every father be like this? Well, maybe I could be like this. Who knows? But the idea started me thinking, and on the whole plane trip, I was on my way to visit my grandfather. I was furiously scribbling in my notebook. Fathers have big hands to show how much they love their children, and they have big feet. Fathers have big feet to dance happy dances and jump in the air.
It took us a long time to decide whether or not to be parents, and going through the process of writing this book, you heard, was what motivated Jonathan to realize that he was ready. And I think perhaps reading this book would give a little nudge to those of you who are feeling a little insecure about it.
Fast forward about 2 years, our daughters were born, and we came to the time for their naming ceremony. And I decided I was going to read this at their naming ceremony. So I touched up what little bits needed to be touched up and read it. And all our friends came up to me after the ceremony and said, "What was that wonderful thing that you read?" And I said, "I wrote that." My friends all said, "That was wonderful. You should publish it as a book." I said, "Thank you. Maybe I will someday."
At first we were so busy just being new parents and undergoing the exhaustion that new parents undergo that we just didn't even think about it. But after a couple years, they started finally, not needing us quite every single second. And I got to thinking it would be really nice if this was published, especially since every time we went to the library, I would find lots of books about mothers and their kids. And I hardly ever saw books about fathers and their kids, even when the fathers were animal fathers.
To open pickle jars and fix your toys and bake your favorite bread and tuck you in at night.
We would like to be able to reach as many fathers as possible with this project, to get the book into their hands, and eventually to submit the book for the Ezra Jack Keats Award. And so we need to have a publicity campaign that would reach the most people. One of the ways to do it would be to sponsor a radio show, and we favor public radio, and we would really like to underwrite a show and mention our Kickstarter fans. With Father's Day coming up very soon, I think that this would be a wonderful supportive book for an expectant father, for a new family, for people even just vaguely considering having children, to show them that yes, it is possible to be an involved, loving father.
Fathers have big hearts to love you now and always.
And there you can see a familiar face with what the artist thought our daughters would look like all grown up.